Hello, I'm Rabbi Elton from the Great Synagogue in Sydney, and our personality today is Moses Mendelssohn, born in 1729 and died in 1786. If any one person can be considered the founder of Jewish modernity, it's Moses Mendelssohn. In fact, his very life represents symbolically that movement from pre-modernity to modernity in the Jewish people of Western Europe. He was born in Dessau in 1729. His father, Mendel, was a fairly poor sofer, a scribe, and he had a basic Jewish education in Torah, Tanakh and Talmud, and then he taught himself modern European knowledge, wisdom, and philosophy. He had some tutors, but for the most part, he was self-educated and was so brilliant and was so able to advance through his own efforts that he attracted the attention of a wealthy Jewish merchant called Isaac Bernhard, who went to live in Berlin and took Moses Mendelssohn with him as the tutor for his children. When Mendelssohn entered Berlin, he went through the Rosenthal Gate, which was reserved for cattle and for Jews. He entered very much as a second-class citizen or not a citizen at all. But his abilities came to the attention of the surrounding intellectual population and society, and even to the attention of the King of Prussia himself, Frederick the Great. There was a competition for a philosophical essay, a prize given and open to anyone who wished to apply and write a discourse on a philosophical topic. And Immanuel Kant, the great philosopher, was one of the entrants, and so was Moses Mendelssohn, but Mendelssohn won the prize, defeating Kant in that particular competition. He published a volume called Phaedo, based on Plato's dialogue of the same name about the immortality of the soul, but his most important contributions to the Jewish community and its learning were a volume called Jerusalem, which sets out his philosophy of Judaism, and an edition of the Bible, of the Torah, called the Bior. So first, Jerusalem. In this he sets out what he believes to be a form of Judaism which would be compatible with modernity. It's important to stress that Mendelssohn himself remained a committed and observant Jew for his entire life. He never considered or argued for or advocated any departure from traditional Jewish practice, and this was recognized even by those who disagree with him or the actions of some of his descendants and followers. However, he did believe that Judaism as an intellectual corpus could be made compatible with Enlightenment philosophy. So, for example, he famously argued that Judaism is a religion of reason, but it has a revealed component which is law. In other words, you can deduce from first principles all of the dogmas or the tenets of Judaism. You don't need a revelation for that, because as reasonable, rational, educated men and women, we can work that out from ourselves. What you need the Torah for, what you need revelation for, is the revelation of law, what God wants us to do on a day-to-day basis. And therefore he divided Judaism into two components, the rational, which covers beliefs, and the revealed, which covers law. This has sometimes been misinterpreted to mean that Judaism has no dogmas. That's not what Mendelssohn meant. What he meant was you could work out the beliefs of Judaism as in any other philosophical enterprise. The most controversial view he had in terms of Jewish theology was that coercion has no place within Jewish law. This seems to contradict the concept of the cherem, the excommunication, such as that which was exercised against Spinoza, we talked about some time ago. And this does challenge the idea that the rabbis have authority to exclude and to punish those who deviate in either beliefs or in action. But it was very important for Mendelssohn, as somebody arguing for religious freedom for the Jews, that they should not be accused of being deniers of liberty within their own communities. The Bior was interesting and important because it contained not only an explanation of the Torah by Mendelssohn and some of his colleagues, but also a translation of the Torah text from Hebrew into German and Hebrew characters. And this was done in order to encourage Jews to leave behind Yiddish and instead to adopt German. And one way to do that was to present them with a German they could read by using Hebrew characters, and they could cross-reference against the Hebrew of the original in order to help them learn and to adopt the German language and help them move in a contemporary German society. Moses Mendelssohn is seen as the creator of the Haskalah, the Jewish expression of the Enlightenment of 18th century Europe, and although his project was to make traditional Judaism compatible with the modern world, in the long term, very largely, he failed. All of his students converted to Christianity, and almost all of his children converted. Only 2 children, 1 daughter and 1 son, remained Jewish, but their children converted in turn. The last Jewish descendant of Mendelssohn died in 1871. His project, the Haskalah and the Maskilim, who pursued it, were often the bogeymen of traditional Judaism, but there's no question that all forms of modern Judaism, from Reform to Conservative to Modern Orthodoxy, owe a great debt to Moses Mendelssohn, and he himself remained a traditional and loyal Jew for his entire life. Thanks for joining.